Welcome back. In the last episode, we talked about limiting beliefs, the invisible walls that our own minds have built around our potential. And we said that belief always precedes reality. We said that you are not at the mercy of your past programming. And so we gave you a three-step framework to surface, challenge, and replace the lies that you've been carrying for so long. And so I hope that you did the homework because today we're going to go one level deeper. Because here's what nobody tells us after we do the work of changing our beliefs. And what they don't tell us is that nothing happens. At least nothing happens right away. You do the journaling, you recite the affirmations, you assume the feeling, you challenge the distortions, and then you look up and your circumstances, they look exactly the way that they did before you started all of that. And that's the moment when people say, well, what's the use? And they end up quitting. And so today we want to talk about why that happens, what it means, and how and why the most mature, the most persistent among us, they learn to master something that I call the faith lag. So welcome back to Best Life Practices. My name is Carl Latting. Let's get into this. Now, here's the fundamental problem most people have with faith. We're trained probably from birth, really, to trust what we can see, what we can touch, what we can measure, what we can verify. And our entire educational system, our entire cultural framework, it operates on visible evidence. Show me the money, show me the results, show me the proof. Today we say, show me the receipts, right? And so there's nothing wrong with that in many areas of our life. But when it comes to creating the future that we are looking to have, to change our stars, if you will, to increase your place or station in life, whether that be financially, relationally, or whatever it is, that framework that we've been taught from birth, it's going to betray us every single time. And the reason why is that most people don't understand a crucial principle. And that principle is that what you see today is not your present. It is your past. What you see today is not your present. It is your past. Everything visible in your life right now, your finances, your relationships, your health, your career, it is the physical manifestation of the thoughts and beliefs that you were holding weeks, months, or even years ago. So your today is someone else's yesterday. Your circumstances are yesterday's imagination made visible. The book of Proverbs, the 23rd chapter, about the 7th verse, it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Now, the author James Allen, he built an entire masterwork on that one verse. And so in his seminal work, the book called As a Man Thinketh, he wrote that a person's mind is like a garden. You can tend it deliberately, or you can leave it to grow wild. But either way, something is going to grow. And so the question is, are you consciously planting, or are you just reacting to whatever seed that the world is throwing over your fence? So let me introduce a concept to you that I call the faith lag. Now, the faith lag is the gap. It's that space in between the moment that you begin to think, to feel, to believe, and assume in alignment with what your desired reality is. And it's that space and that lag time between when you begin to do that and when the actual thing comes into fruition. Now, none of us like that time in between, but you have to know that that time in between that's somewhat uncomfortable, where you're waiting with bated breath and you're wondering if I should continue to believe. Well, this is not a punishment. It's not a sign that you're doing it wrong. It's not that God is going to withhold your blessing. But the faith lag is simply the law of gestation at work. So if you were to think about a tree, when you plant a tree, you don't see anything for a long time. The seed goes into the ground, the soil covers it, you water it, you tend it, and for days, maybe weeks, there's nothing visible above the surface. But underground, everything is going down. That's where everything is happening. The roots are pushing outward, the shell of the seed is breaking open, and life is beginning to organize itself. The tree is becoming, even before you can see, it becoming. So now imagine somebody who doesn't understand this principle. They plant the seed on Monday, but by Friday, nothing is showing. So what do? They go dig it up because they want to check. Let's see what's going on. But what did they also do? They just killed what was going to be the tree. So this is what most people end up doing with their faith. They plant the seed of a new belief, a new assumption, a new vision, and when it doesn't show itself to the world immediately, they dig it up with doubt. Now, this is what Neville Goddard called living in the end. He taught that the work that we need to do is not to pursue your desired reality. It's to inhabit it mentally, emotionally, before it arrives physically. Did you hear that? Because when you are pursuing the thing that you want, when you're chasing it, when you're saying, I want this, I desire that, it's on the way, you are also suggesting to yourself that you don't have it. See there? So you want to live today as though you already have it by seeing it, smelling it, feeling what it's like to have that thing. Go there in your mind. Because one of the things that he also said is that we have to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And so this is faith before the evidence. This is the discipline of holding the vision while the roots are still forming underground. Now, let me show you something I find remarkable because the science and the scripture are saying the exact same thing. The anchor verse for this entire episode today is Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. It says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And so if you read that carefully, faith is the substance, the tangible, the thing that we can touch of things hoped for, not the wish, not the prayer request, not the vision board. It's the substance, the actual material. Faith itself is described as a real, tangible thing, the building block of the reality that you have not seen yet. And then it's the evidence of things not seen. So then, what the writer of Hebrews does here is that he's telling us that the faith that we have, it operates in the invisible realm first, and the evidence comes later. And that's the nature of the system. And so James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits, he describes something that he calls the plateau of latent potential. And he says that this is the period where all you are doing is the right things, but you are seeing none of the results. So he uses the metaphor of ice, right? You lower the temperature 1 degree at a time, 26 degrees, 25 degrees, 24 degrees, 23 degrees, and nothing changes. The ice looks exactly the same. And then 32 degrees, and everything changes at once. That's not magic. That's the lag revealing its fruit. So James Clear, he wrote that people, they give up right before the breakthrough in what he calls the valley of disappointment because the work doesn't match the results yet. But you and I know what to call the valley now. That is what I'm calling the faith lag. And it is not your enemy. It is your preparation. So then, how do you actually master the faith lag? Here is the faith before the evidence framework. Okay, I got 4 disciplines for the persistent and the mature individual who's looking to. Discipline number 1, fix your eyes on the invisible. So the scripture says that we look not at the things that are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things that we can see are temporary, but the things which we cannot see are eternal, meaning that we cannot see with these eyes. So your current circumstances, they're temporary. They are not permanent. They are not the final word. They're simply the most recent output of yesterday's input. So every morning, your first assignment is to fix your internal gaze on the invisible version of your life, the one that is forming underground right now. Journal it, speak it, sit in the feeling of it. Okay? This is not denial of reality. This is the discipline of the mature mind that understands which reality is more real. Discipline number 2, protect the seed. As James Allen wrote, you cannot think one thing and produce another. The harvest is always true to the seed. So during the faith lag, your primary job is to protect the seed of your new belief from being dug up by doubt, by fear, or the opinions of people who cannot see what you are trying to grow in your garden. That means being selective about who and what you consume, what you watch, what you listen to, who you allow to speak into your process. Because not everyone deserves access to your seed season. Some people will speak frost over what God is growing in you. Discipline number 3, stack identity votes. Once again, James Clear was teaching that every action that you take is a vote for the type of person that you want to become. You don't need a dramatic transformation overnight. You need consistent, small votes that reinforce the identity of the person that has already, or who is already, has what you're believing for. Okay? Because if you're believing for financial freedom, then study money every day, even 15 minutes a day. Every study session is a vote, right? It's evidence. If you're believing for better health, then move your body every day. Every rep is a vote. See, you're casting votes for an identity that your circumstances haven't confirmed yet. That is faith before the evidence in action. Finally, discipline number 4, refuse, utterly refuse to dig up the seed. And this one is probably the hardest one. And it's the one that separates the people who break through from the people who stay stuck. So don't let the silence of the lag become an invitation for doubt. One person taught, who I respect, that doubt is not the opposite of faith. It is faith pointed in the wrong direction. So when you doubt, you're assuming something with just as much conviction as when you believe. You're just assuming in the wrong thing. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, he wrote, confine yourself to the present, not the present circumstances. So the present practice is what you want to confine yourself to, the present discipline, the present assumption. So every morning you wake up and choose to believe before the evidence. That is not naivete. That is the highest form of mental and spiritual maturity. So I want to speak to someone watching this right now who is tired. You have been doing the work. You have been believing. You have been showing up. And the visible world has not moved. But I need you to hear this. Underground is not the same as nowhere. The tree is growing. The roots are deepening. The breakthrough is being built from the inside out, the same way God always works. So don't be weary in well-doing. You're going to reap if you don't faint. And so keep in mind that this is not about things happening in your season or the season that you planned. It's going to happen in due season. So your job here is not to manage the timeline. Your job is to manage your mind. Keep planting, keep watering, keep believing, and then just trust that God, who set the laws of harvest, is going to bring these things to pass. So let me land this plane. What you see today is your past made visible. And what you consistently think, believe, feel, and assume today is your future being assembled right now. Underground, out of sight. It's operating on a timeline that you cannot control, but you can absolutely trust. So the faith lag is not the absence of progress. It's the presence of process. So last time here with James Allen, I've been leaning on him a lot today, but he said that the outer world of the circumstance shapes itself to the inner world of thought. We need to keep in mind, that every vote counts, even when the scoreboard hasn't changed. We want to keep in mind that, once again, that faith itself is substance. It's actual material of what you're hoping for, and that you're not waiting for your life to change. Your life has already changing. You just haven't seen it yet. So you have to master the lag, protect the seed, keep casting votes, and don't you dare dig it up. So here's your assignment this week. Identify one area of your life where you have been quitting too early, where you've been digging up the seed. Write down the belief that you're choosing to hold in that area before the evidence arrives. Then name 3 identity votes. These are 3 actions that you're going to cast this week that are consistent with that belief. And then leave it in the ground. Tend it, water it, and report back. Drop your assignment in the comments. Tell me what seed that you're going to be protecting. I read every one of these. If this episode spoke to you, share it with somebody in their lag season right now. They need to know it's not over. It's just underground. If you have not subscribed, please do so, because you don't want to miss episode 3, because we're just getting started here. Faith before evidence every single day. I'm Carl Latting. I'll see you guys in the next one.